on a Monday of draft week. It's tip-off. I'm David Locke. Glad to have you with us. News breaking, not good news, as we speak. It is a crazy week already. Sleepless in Park City. It is tip-off. Good morning. Or good afternoon, or whenever you may be tuning in. I'm prepared for this week. Usually the sleeplessness starts upon getting to New York and Tuesday and Wednesday trying to reach people. Instead, today I'm on 3 hours. It's a scary start. Bad news has come across the Twitter world this morning. I have not been able to confirm it at this hour, but according to Trend Basket, which seems to be a very small site, but it's basketball news from Turkey in English, that Enes Kanter is going to miss the FIBA World Cup due to knee surgery. Now, I have not been able to confirm this, but that story is out there this morning. I have not tweeted it as of yet because I feel like too much gets lost in translation, and I have not been able to confirm it. So we'll see. I've sent some texts out first thing this morning, and we'll find out what we can on that. But again, the story is, and I don't know anything more. I don't know what type of knee surgery it will be. Is it just an arthroscopic scope, which is probably not that big a deal? Though in the back of my mind, I have a feeling he's had something before. Or is it something larger than that? So I don't have the answer. We'll see, but that does not help. And if the Jazz were trying to move Ennis, which frankly is difficult with him being kind of heading into restricted free agency. It's a possibility, but it's difficult. That has been reduced as well. So not good news to open up the morning here for Utah Jazz fans, if in fact this story by Trend Basket EN is true. And I have no reason to believe it either way, frankly. So let's get to that. Let's start there. The next story is free agency is suddenly leaking into the draft. I posted this at Locked On Jazz, which is rolling right now. Just bookmark it. I've got a storyline podcast. I've got our storyline going on mock drafts. I have a storyline going on latest murmurs. And what storylines are is instead of news stories every time, we just post quick little blurps. And then you can catch up on everything that's taking place. That's been updated, will be updated throughout as much as I can while still living somewhat of a life. In other words, transporting children in between doing this next few days. There is in that I posted on there a story that Marvin Williams is being mentioned by Zach Lowe as a possible target for the Miami Heat. And more importantly, was talked about being close to the full mid-level exception, which might be a little surprising. I'm not sure we anticipated that coming in that direction. So I know the Jazz have great desire to try to keep Marvin. They need some veterans on this team. They need a stretch. They need guys to be leadership. So it will be I'll be curious. All right, there's so much news and so much going on. I am not sure where to start with all of this, but let me do the best I can. There'll be a very good podcast coming today with Nate Duncan from Basketball Insiders. We recorded that last night, and I will bring that to your direction probably 10-ish. It'll hopefully drop. So hopefully you get a chance to watch this. The Aaron Gordon video is up for you already. I love Aaron Gordon, and the but's really significant. The but is he doesn't shoot well, and the free throw issue is almost catastrophic. I mean, the free throw issue is so significant with Aaron Gordon, you almost don't want to touch him. And what was eye-opening last night is I went back to go see when did this start, and in the U16s, where he was the best player on the American team, that included Jabari. Included many of the top-level players. He was leader in points, leader in rebounds, second in assists. He was the best player on that team. He went 3 of 16 from the free throw line. In the U19s, in which he was also probably the best player on the team and statistically was through the charts, averaging about 2.5 steals a game, he was 9 of 17. So in international play, he's 12 of 33 from the free throw line. He goes to Arizona where he goes 76 of 180. So I can't find his Archbishop Mercy numbers from San Jose, but he's 88 of 213, 42% from the free throw line for the last 3 years. This isn't like he had a 1 year blip at Arizona. This is you're not dealing with just off kilter for a little while, which really then begs the question, has he ever been able to shoot? And for you to think that you're suddenly going to be able to affect his shot seems limited. I love his game. You'll see it in the video. It's long. I apologize. I should never make it an 18-minute draft video. Uh, the passing's amazing. The athleticism is there. I like his quick post moves, but he doesn't shoot. I try to show plays, but they just don't guard him. It reduces his ability to put the ball on the floor and beat people. His offensive game is really limited. His passing, his handle, his athleticism, his vision, they're elite. I've said this a bunch of times, but a scout said to me, "Don't fall in love with those things too much. The reason they have those things is because they can't shoot." There's no question, and even watching Jabari, for all of his other, is going to be able to score. Jabari's going to be able to put 20 down a night in this league, and there just aren't a lot of guys that can do that. Nate Duncan and I have an interesting conversation on our podcast about Andrew Wiggins that cools your jets a little bit on him, though I still love him. I probably still have him number one on my draft board, but I'll admit some of the things make you wonder. The one who the more people I talk to, Exum excites people. Talked to a coach in the NBA who said that, frankly, Exum's the one guy that put his hair up on his arms of excitement. And frankly, the Embiid injury has really seemingly screwed everything up for the Jazz, unless Philadelphia is going to take him 3. And there does seem to be talk that Embiid is going 3 to Philly. If Embiid's going 3 to Philly, it doesn't really screw anything up for the Jazz because it just changes the order. The Jazz are going to, if the Jazz are going to go try to make the move for Parker, which will be stunningly expensive from all indications, then they still go make that move. But sitting at 5, if Embiid goes 3 or goes 4, well, then Orlando's decision on Orlando's going to decide between Exum, Vonleh, and Smart, and then the Jazz got the next guy. If Embiid drops, it kills the Jazz because Vonleh and Exum are probably both gone. I'll build a spreadsheet for this for tomorrow. If Embiid goes 3, then Exum or Vonleh goes 4, we're back to where we started. Or Smart. Marcus Smart continues to be very good, by the way. He didn't work out for the Jazz. He's the number 1 analytical choice in this draft. He does things that Trey doesn't do. He probably fills a bigger need for our roster than anyone else. Again, the weakness is he doesn't shoot it well. And a lot of people are comparing him to Westbrook, but Westbrook shot much better at UCLA than Smart did. The thing on Smart is how inconsistent he is off the bounce, which is a little discouraging. The play on Cleveland, if the Jazz are trying to get to 1, as was reported with Favors, and Spence reported it as well, it makes, I don't know if Favors makes sense, but at least holding the discussion makes sense. I'm certain Dennis has talked to everyone and knows kind of what it's going to cost to get to any spot, and then has to make a read on whether he believes those things will change or hold between now and then. But the offer to Cleveland may have to include taking back Jared Jack, who has 3 years, $6 million left on his deal for each of the next 3 years, which is a painful deal. Though Jack would be probably a nice addition to our roster to kind of match and help out Trey. He's got some issues, but it's not bad. If Cleveland's really going to go make some plays for big free agents like they think they are, then you probably have to go clear that space. The irony is you go clear that space, then the next thing you know, Cleveland's a team that offers Gordon Hayward all this money, and now you have created the cap space, what ends up making you match Gordon Hayward at a higher number. Plus, you've added 6 for Jared Jack, and suddenly you start to lose some of your flexibility. It's all intertwined. The Embiid situation is, I'm just kind of scatterbrained here. I apologize. There's just so much news. The Embiid situation is really quite interesting. So you got to have his medicals. The only way to get his medicals was to get his medicals from his agent. Arn Tellem is the same guy who orchestrated Kobe Bryant in the Vlade Divac trade to end up with the Lakers basically telling Charlotte he wouldn't sign there. Charlotte, when got Vlade Divac, they got Kobe Bryant to the Lakers many, many years back. Is he doing something similar now? I don't think he obviously planned to have a surgery, and the surgery's legit. We see Jabari going to visit him in the hospital on Instagram. But now at this point, if the Jazz want to think about taking Embiid, they've got Arn Tellem's got to play with them, and give them the medicals. Well, maybe he decides I'd rather go to Boston or the Lakers, which are the next two, and he gives them the medicals. Well, now do the Jazz dare draft Embiid without the medicals? And do they make an assumption that if Boston and LA have the medicals, that they must be fine? There's a lot to happen on Embiid between now and Thursday, and it's where I think some of this talk that Embiid's going to go 3 or Embiid's going to go 4 or whatever is beginning to be the first part of the lying of the draft world. I think there's a value in lying and trying to claim that you're going to take Embiid because maybe somebody else is still willing to move up to go get him. You know, if somebody still believes he's going to be fine medically, now he's the undervalued prospect in this draft that is sliding down. It does sound, though, from Sam Amico, as though Cleveland is willing to move that number 1 pick. It also sounds as though, according to Amico, and we have it on the storyline on Locked On Jazz, is that Wiggins may be their number 1 pick, matching David Blatt more than their new head coach from Europe, more than Jabari Parker, in which case then the Jazz embark upon trade deals with Milwaukee, and much of doing a trade deal with Milwaukee would be clearing space for Milwaukee, helping Milwaukee by taking some of their deals. I'm not sure they're willing to move Ilyasova, who had such a bad year last year and will probably be appealing to us, though he's expensive. But they probably would be wanting to move O.J. Mayo and maybe even Carlos Delfino and maybe Zaza Pachulia to clear their books a little bit. With their new ownership, they'd obviously have to bring back a lot because no one's going to be able to get away with telling their fan base, hey, we just cleared cap space for the number 1 or 2 pick of the draft. But if you can do that on the backside of a deal, the front office would understand the importance of that. That allows them to do future things as well. Shabazz Napier might be moving up as high as the Bulls. And then other news, Kevin Love supposedly deals off. There's a big game of chicken being played there. The Warriors claiming that they will not trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. Frankly, seems laughable, but maybe not. Maybe they really view Klay Thompson as something that's necessary next to Steph Curry. Free agency news, Carmelo's going to opt out. Rudy Gay has opted in. And other NBA news, huge get by Steve Kerr on his coaching staff. Alvin Gentry, who's been a head coach, as his associate head coach, and now Ron Adams, who's a grumpy guy, but he is the defensive kind of stalwart around the NBA. He was at Oklahoma City, then he went to Boston. He's been a bunch of places. He is generally known as probably the best defensive assistant coach that's out there in the NBA. So that's a big get on that front. I would suspect that the Jazz get close to announcing their coaching staff sometime this week. Everything's pretty quiet right now on the Jazz front. I'm not sure. Last year they went on a retreat. I don't know if they're doing that again. So we'll see. But I would suspect that we start to hear something of that sort. All right, that's kind of the latest news that I have. As I said, they'll be updated on Locked On Jazz, on the Storyline Mock Draft, on the Storyline Rumors and Murmurs. There's also going to be the Nate Duncan podcast, and the Aaron Gordon video is already up. Let me see if I can answer a few questions for about the next 10 minutes. Let's start with Michael Moore. If you buy an argument from Pelton and other smarties, the strength of this draft is that there isn't much separation in the top 6 or 8 guys. All are potential all-stars. If that's the case, why on earth would you trade favors to move up? If you believe that one of these players is superior to the rest or does something that is superior to the rest, then that's why you do it. Um, you know, if you really believe that Jabari Parker is going to score 20 to 25 points a game in this league, which a lot of people do, and I might be one of them. I might really be underselling the. There just aren't a lot of guys that can drop 20 points a game, and he may be one of them. If you believe Jabari is going to be able to score 20 in this league, that's a special thing, and frankly, we need that. We're right now we have our go-to guy is Gordon Hayward again and Alec Burks. Uh, it should be a little telling that Rick Bonnell, who you can decide if you like it or not, put out a list of the top 100 players in the NBA, and I think Gordon was in the 70s and Favors was in the 80s, and those are our two best players. Uh, so if you believe Jabari is going to score 20 points a game, 25 points a game, if you're really going high, then you give up an awful lot to go get him. If you don't believe that, if you believe that he is not that special and that his defensive deficiencies, then what you're talking about are there. But they all could be all stars. But I mean, I love Aaron Gordon, but he's just a player on your team who's really good and is going to cause a lot of problems. He's going to have a lot of versatility. He's going to be fun to coach. He's going to do a lot of things for you, but you can't give him the ball. The game on the line, unless he's going to make a pass. He makes a bunch of great passes off the double team, but I'm not sure he gets double teamed in the NBA in the post. I like some of his post stuff, but if he's not guarded on the outside shot, that gets hard. So, Julius Randle, I haven't looked at a ton. I like him, but I mean, the length issue is still significant. He's so strong and powerful, but his shot's not great. Marcus Smart, I'm a big fan of Marcus Smart. And I get close, by the way. I start fiddling with my board, and I get awfully close to putting Gordon and Smart up at 2 or 1 or 3 or crazy stuff there for a while. So I don't disagree with the concept, but I think you got to be careful if you think one of those guys is going to be really brilliant. If Aaron Gordon could ever become a 65% free throw shooter, what percentage chance would you give him of being a star in the league? I mean, I think the bigger issue is if he's got to be able to hit the 15-footer. The thing I envision for him that makes him a star in our league, um, but you can't see it anywhere because it doesn't exist in the collegiate game, is that Aaron Gordon catches it mid-block right at 14 feet, maybe even elbow at 15 feet, and is conducting your offense out of the elbow with his passing skills while you're running cuts and movements off of it. And if they drop off, he's got to be good enough to hit that jump shot. If they don't drop off, he's quick enough with 1 or 2 dribbles and long enough to get on the rim immediately. And that's what's really, really exciting. However, I'm not sure he's got that 15-foot jumper. If you think Marc Gasol, that's what has me so in love with him. But I think that what you got to be honest is whether or not he's ever going to have that shot well enough. Blake Griffin's developed it. So do you believe it can be done? He seems to be an elite level athlete, but when you then start to consider that since some of the shooting stuff that he has is not new. I mean, the 3 of 16 from the free throw line as an under 16s is a little discouraging to me. That was eye opening. His dribble drive game is okay, not great. Is partially because guys give him so much space. So it's a little out there. Jonathan Erickson, what is my personal top 5? Wiggins won solely based on just insane athleticism. And I think he can recover defensively at such a terrific rate. I think he's just off by a little with his stuff, and I think if that's a strength issue or an age issue, when it clicks in, his step back jumper is going to be incredible. His defense can be good. I have him at 1. Jabari probably at 2. I'm nervous about the fact, not that he's not good defensively, just some of the other stuff. I wish there was more rebounding. I wish there was a little more passing. I wish there was a little bit more of this other stuff. But you know what? If Wiggins is the elite athlete in this league, then Parker is the elite scorer. Parker is going to be able to score 20, 25 in this league. And I may not value that enough. 3, I'm going to go with Exum. Talking to people more than seeing it myself, but watching whatever videos are available, the explosion is insane. Nate Duncan talks about him a little bit in our podcast, and it worries me a little bit, some things, and how raw he is. But I think, shooting the moon a tiny bit there. Um, I'll go. This is really 4A and 4B. Aaron Gordon and Marcus Smart at 4A and 4B. I think both of them have real chances to be the best player in this draft. But their if is huge. They've got to be able to become viable shooters in the league, and they may not be able to from there. Um, I guess after that, I would go to Noah Vonleh at 6, Julius Randle at 7. I'm not touching Joel Embiid under any circumstance. I wasn't high on him before the foot injury due to his inexperience. I don't want to touch him at all. I have him simply off my board. Someone I'm not interested. Nick Stauskas is pretty impressive. Um, Probably after that. Zach LaVine um, is kind of an interesting player at UCLA. A lot of people have said, this is from Ryan Dangerfield, a lot of people have said fans should be careful with how much they believe rumors right now. When should fans start believing the rumors surrounding the draft? Last week. We're done. Lies, 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 and more lies this week. Try to figure out why they're lying, not what they're saying. Jonathan Erickson again. Good diehard listener. By the way, speaking of good diehard listeners, welcome back to King Jackson. Great to have you back on the bottom. Um, Watching Aaron Gordon video comparison question with Vonleh, both looked to have really good floor defense. Who is better feet, Gordon or Vonleh? Gordon. Vonleh's big, Vonleh's 6'10", 250. I can't imagine he stays this quick. And I can't imagine he's going to slim down. The nice thing on Gordon's kind of got a willingness to take some contact and be engaged and probably a little physically more into the game than Vonleh. I thought Vonleh came off as a little softer in some of those areas, but Gordon has better feet. Vonleh's a better shooter. Vonleh, I don't know who's more refined around the post. Frankly, I didn't think Vonleh was particularly refined around the post. Both are athletic. Both are good feet movers. Better, without question, a better pass. Better passer is Gordon. Play different ways, different size. I'm a little nervous on Gordon's size, trying to defend 4s in our league. I think that could be a difficulty for him. From Doug Chung, what are the possibilities of the Cavs and Bucks trading their picks? Do you think the Jazz can acquire any of them without trading favors? Less so if the news that Enes Kanter is having knee surgery is true. If someone wants a big and you move Kanter, now can you move Kanter, and are you gonna be able to have medicals in here by Thursday that tell people what's up with that knee and whether, right? I mean, this is a huge game changer for the Jazz if this story is true. I have not been able to confirm it. I don't know, and I don't know anything about the site. I have no reason not to believe it, but I don't know anything about it. And if he's not playing in Turkey, he's not playing in Turkey. So that's a game changer. There's no question, and that limits who you're able to move, and then whether you are willing to move guys. Trying to see Spencer Wixom on a regular thing. When watch games against Michigan, did you Nick Stauskas stand out? Does the Jazz move up from 23? Seems like a great fit as we need shooting in the worst way. He did stand out a little. Some of his athleticism was better than I thought. Frankly, what stood out often, though, is both Vonleh and Gordon switched on him and didn't have huge problems. And I would like to believe that he would make them. But some people think he's as good a prospect as anyone. He knows exactly what position he's playing, how he's going to play it, and he's comfortable in that sense. With added assets, what assets would come from swapping lottery picks for the Celtics, Lakers, or Kings? Could it possibly be in our interest considering how many second-tier players there are in this draft? I think there's a high chance we trade down. Um, I think there's more and more chance we trade down for Nick Stauskas or something and add another asset. Things have not gone our way here, guys. Let's end on this note. I hate to say this. I mean, things have just not gone our way. So we let Millsap and Jefferson go, and that's fine. That was part of. And then the lottery happens and we slide down a spot, so we could have had a break there, could have gone our way. Embiid gets hurt. Exum would have probably been the big win. Seems really unlikely Exum gets to 5. Um, maybe still, but he's um, probably the big win, and um, you know, so he's not available at 5. Now, now we're sitting at 5, and we probably, if we're going to move up, we got to go pay a pretty price for it. Now Ennis gets hurt, if this is true. Suddenly limits one of our assets and how we suddenly start doing stuff. Um, Not getting a lot of breaks right now. We'll see how it all plays out. That's the game. That's what happens. That's the danger, frankly, of playing along with what we're doing right now, is that you just need a lot of things to fall in place, and right now they're not falling for us. That is today's edition of Tip Off.